My name's Belinda Bailey. I am the Environmental Initiatives Manager for Syngenta, and I'm here today at the Allerton Project at Loddington with Jim Egan, who's Head of Training. Today we're stood in a plot of bees and seeds, and I just wanted to ask Jim what his thoughts were and how it fits within the environmental stewardship and countryside and on the farm.
Yeah, this mix on the farm forms a really important part of what we do. This time of year it's really good. It's just at the coldest bit of the year. It's really providing a really good seed source for many different farmland birds. You'll have perhaps seen the flock of goldfinches behind us. They've been up here now since October, using this regularly to feed on. So we've got the sunflower seeds. The fodder radish is another good one. So there's some fodder radish in the distance here, which will retain its seed well into the winter months and really give those birds something to feed on through the winter. And the beauty of this mix is that earlier in the year it was a riot of colour, but it was also providing a really useful source of pollen and nectar for bumblebees, honeybees, and also there are lots of invertebrates in here. So it was providing food for those chicks, the birds that are just fledged, to help them actually get fit and healthy to survive into the winter. So it's a really good multi-purpose mix.
So Jim, what sort of farmland birds would we expect to see benefiting from the bees and seeds mixture?
So in this sort of mix you'll see a full range of farmland birds, but the finches in particular, so goldfinches, you'll also see yellowhammers, there's the odd reed bunting appeared in here, you might see chaffinches or bullfinches. Depending on where it is in the farm, you'll get things like tree sparrows using it. So there's a wide range of seed eating birds will use it through this time of the year, and then it's really beneficial to lots of different birds who need insects in the early summer when they're younger fledging. So if you've got partridge on the farm, it's a nice open mix, and there'll be good insect source at the bottom of the mix for things like partridge in the early summer. So it's a really good mix, and you'll see a wide range of different birds, and it's a great place for farmers to actually come and count, to actually come and sit and watch and see what birds they've got on their farm and how they use these different mixes.
And a mixture like this, does it need to be within the stewardship, or can it go anywhere on the farm? Where can we grow it?
Well, one of the beauties of this particular mix is that you can grow it voluntarily if you want to, or it will actually fit the stewardship rules. And it's a really good way sometimes of getting farmers engaged in what they're doing. When we've had visitors here through the summer, the fact it's a riot of colours really drawn people's attention to it. So they've been interested in wanting to have a go, and you can have a go, you can make it part of your ecological focused areas as part of the greening requirement, and that's really good because farmers don't have lots of rules. All they've really got to do is have some fallow land, and they can grow pollen and nectar and wild seed mixes, which this complies with that. If they're in a scheme, it can also form a useful part of the scheme's mix and be an annual mix and go as a break between other game and cover crops. So it's really multifunctional and does lots of different things.
And this bees and seeds mix, it's been talked about and discussed as an industry partnership project along with the CFE, is that right?
Yeah, for me, I've got two roles here. So as well as my role here, I chair the campaign for the Farm and Environment National Delivery Group, and we've been really pleased to be able to work with Syngenta and Kings to actually roll this offer out to farmers. We've used it at a range of different events we do to demonstrate the really good environmental stuff it does, and it's a really good way of demonstrating to government that the industry can work together and do some really positive things.
I'd like to welcome Phil Jarvis, who's the Head of Farm Manager here at Loddington, just to ask him a little bit about where you decided to put the bees and seeds mix, how it fitted onto the farm and your crop rotation.
Well, it fits in with a lot of other habitats that we've got here. It's also quite nice and light land, so it gets a good seed bed. It warms up quite quickly, and quite a few of these things are quite small seeds when you plant them, so we want them to get away with good soil seed contact.
So what time of year did you plant this, and how did you go about establishing it?
Well, you've got a range of times really, from May to the sort of middle of June. If you get much later than that, you do get a few problems with it not going to seed too much. But so we're looking any time from end of May to the end of June to plant this.
And how did you establish this?
So the first thing we did with this little plot, we like to plough our plots beforehand, and so we'll plough this in February time and give it a month or two just to weather down a little bit. maybe quick whiz over with a power harrow and then drill it with our normal farm drill. So not much, any specialist kit to do this with, the same piece of kit we've got for all our other crops.
And did it receive any nitrogen? How do you get it to grow and establish?
Yeah, a small amount of nitrogen. I mean, with our stewardship agreement, we can use a small amount of nitrogen just to get it going. Not too much, because we don't want the things that really thrive on nitrogen to take over, but just enough to get it away from the slugs and the flea beetle and some of the other pests that might be about.
And did you have any weed problems within this area?
No, we did use a small pre-emergence herbicide just to keep them, and then we've used 1 gram sardine, so not very much agronomic input, but just enough to suppress. And then once this gets away, it does its own weed control.
How does the bees and seeds mix fit within your farming enterprise? Do you feel there's a financial benefit, or do you feel there's a loss to your bottom line within your business?
Well, no, as some of these areas we planted in agri-environment schemes, we're getting support payments for that, for sort of this environmental enhancement. But I think from a business as well, being in that scheme spreads my risk, but more importantly the mixes we put in, and this particular mix here, it's attracting a lot of useful things to the rest of my crops. So the pollinators in here will be going into my oilseed rape and be going into my beans as well. So having a source that attracts them for a longer time of year means there's a bigger population to go into my crops. Makes economic sense.
We talked about the bees and seeds and where you're putting it within your soil types, etc., and how it fits in the rotation of the farm. Do you see it having benefits for water protection, or do you use other types of mixtures?
Well, I think like everything, you need a variety of habitats. So in certain places it will be more attractive. I mean, for example, against water courses, to sort of stop erosion and keep water clean, you probably might want to go for a more tussocky, dense grass mix. But I think the main thing is to have a variety of habitats. So although it will fit in a lot of places, there are specific things that will do better jobs than that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And lastly, do you see any benefits from this in a wider sort of context of your business?
Well, I think going forward, and what we might be looking at in the future of our landscape, and how we enhance our landscape to produce food and the environment, this is a great news story. This is good for farmers, showing that they care about the local landscape they farm in. So I think from that point of view, there can be a win for the public, there can be a win for a farmer, and there's going to be a win for policymakers, and everybody's in this industry scheme. So yeah, no, it's a lot of things in there.
And so you're planning to put more pollen and nectar and wild bird seed mixtures like the bees and seeds in?
Yeah, it attracts a lot of people. Sunflowers and phacelias, very vibrant colours. I think we'll be putting a lot more of this in as it develops, and I'm sure it'll enhance lots of things on the farm.
Okay, thank you.